Councillor Mallon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just following on my colleague's statement about whether or not this is about the parking, about the courthouse, I have been having a growing sense of frustration through this conversation because we're talking about this disposition right now in this chamber as if we're talking about parking, and we aren't. It hasn't been about parking for the past 6 months. If we're being really honest, it's been about whether this permitted plan or a future ambiguous plan, and yes, it is ambiguous because there is no other plan out there, is what we're talking about. Is the Leggett-McCall plan perfect? No. No plan is ever perfect. It was also permitted many years ago, and yes, we're in a different time. It's not perfect. Was the RFP process perfect? No. Has DCAM been negligent in maintaining in that building? Absolutely. I think that's become very, very clear. But I think the abutters have waited long enough for us to decide on this project, and it's frustrating to me that we're talking about this today as if we're talking about parking, and we're not. We're having a very different conversation in here than we have been having for the last 6 months outside of this room. So I just want to be very clear that I'm frustrated. And to quote my colleague in talking about ongoing injustice, delaying the asbestos remediation and redevelopment of this building to an unknown date is an act of environmental injustice. It will also deprive a neighborhood of the millions of dollars in community benefits that they specifically requested through their community working group with Leggett-McCall, including a reactivated First Street, the senior community space that we've talked about a bunch here that we've been needing in that neighborhood for a long time, a child care facility and a farmer's market, and affordable housing, which we have also been talking about here in this chamber for many, many months as a critical need for our community. I'm ready to move forward with this today. I think, as the mayor indicated, many of us have stated very publicly how we are moving forward with this today, whether we're a yes or a no, and we can continue talking about it, but I think it's time for the residents of East Cambridge and the abutters to hear us say out loud how we feel about this project and whether or not it should move forward. I yield the floor.
No, let's not do that. Let's not, no.
Mr. Mayor?